Hello and welcome to this tips and tricks video. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while and will do more in the future. Just tips and tricks of things that I've learned and developed along the way that I'd like to share with you. Now, the effect that I have here is just a metal paint texture and a rust layer underneath. And I want to erase from the paint layer and gradually reveal the rust, but in a way that looks kind of convincing, like the paint really flaked off. And this is just a bunch of layer styles effects that I've added on. And I'm using a brush with texture, which you can see on the right here, that is sensible to my brush pressure and my pen pressure. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all of these stuff, just delete the layer mask and get rid of all the layer styles. So clear layer style. So basically we're left with one texture and the rust layer. So the first thing you should do is create a mask, which is going to allow you to hide or reveal parts of your texture. Now the masks, the way you do, you use your brush to paint on them with black to erase, or actually black to erase, and then white to reveal back again. So this way you don't destroy your texture. You don't hide or delete actually more than what you wanted. Then we're going to create a little bit of a pattern here to test out the layer styles that we're going to apply in the future. So I'm going to do a really severe cut here, and I'm going to do a very soft and gradual change here at the bottom, and there's a mix there at the center. This way we can actually try different styles. So the first thing now we're going to do is open up our layer styles by double clicking next to the name. Once our layer styles pop up, we can start by adding a bevel and emboss. Okay, and the way that this is usually configured is it gives you this kind of coming out effect. We're going to do the down version, because what we want to do is we want to get the paint to sort of look like it's lifting off the rust. So we're going to increase the size here, actually reduce the size here of the screen aspect of the highlight, but we're going to change this to vivid light because we want that saturated, hit by the sun kind of effect. Then we want to increase the size because we want that to sort of soften away. And we also want to reduce the shadow because that's not going to help anyway. So just bring the opacity of the shadow down. So all that we're left with now is the effect of the paint flaking off. So let's try a different angle here to see if we can get anything else from the layer. Kind of looked good vertical. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the inner shadow and inner glow, but different. We're going to use the shadow to brighten up and the glow to darken it down a little bit. Okay, so for the shadow, we have this inner shadow which we can play around with a distance. What we want to do is use this to create a highlight on the bottom side of our cut. So we're going to change this to white, and we're also going to change it to vivid light as we did with the top one. So now we can see that this edge is lit. But we want to be careful as to where we leave this. So we might want to put a distance of maybe 2 so that it doesn't excess again on the top one. Actually, 1 looked pretty good. Okay, so let's leave it like this, okay? So now we have this effect of the paint sort of lifting off. And this effect is less noticeable here and here, where I erased only part of the pixel. I didn't fully erase the pixel, so there's a little bit of transparency. The other thing is we're going to add an inner glow, but we're going to add this inner glow as a dark element, okay? And we're going to make it really big. And this is just going to act as a shadow. So let's change this to multiply. I actually feel like if we change it to multiply, no, what we're going to do with this one is we were going to create the effect of rust. Okay, so we're going to go for the inner glow, change this to a rust color, and then put this back on normal. Okay, and we're going to add some noise to this and bringing back the opacity. So we're just going to get this effect of the paint sort of rusted away. Okay, so maybe we want to choke this a little bit and reduce the size. Something like this. This is something that's going to vary with the resolution of your texture, not just, it's not an effect that you can just copy my settings and it'll be perfect. You'll need to adjust. The other thing we want to do is we want to add an outer glow, and this outer glow is going to create a shadow, a soft shadow around everything. So again, we're going to change this to multiply, change the color to black, and we're just going to size it up quite a lot. But then we're going to bring the opacity down also quite a lot, just to create that sort of effect of darkness surrounding the edge of the metal. And then we're going to go for our drop shadow, and we do really need to have a drop shadow here, probably not as big as what I have. Just the effect. We don't want this. We don't want a shadow at the top and a shadow at the bottom. We want something that is offset. Okay, so maybe 2 pixels. Yeah, and then maybe the size we could play around. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so what you have here is pretty much the full effect of the paint flaking. And this happens if you really erase it. And the great thing about this layer style effects is that if you go softly on the paint, again, on the mask painting with black, if you go softly, it doesn't really, well, that's not softly, it doesn't really change. It just adds rust to it, which is a good way to damage your paint. But if you start hitting more and more in that spot, then it gets rustier. And you can kind of see there on my mask that it's not as dark as this spot here. So as I add more, it carves into the paint and actually deletes the paint, creating this rusted effect like we have here. But if you go really hard at the beginning right away, it actually cuts the paint off. So if you change your brush size and you go in and add a bit of a cut like this, and again, you can come back in with a white and paint over it to sort of clean it up. And you start creating this effect. So this is pretty much the trick that I use. Obviously, this texture can be anything else. You could even use a different tone or, you know, whatever you want to use that fits your project. But the trick is the same. It's pretty much these effects. And I'll leave these open. Well, you can't really see them. You'd have to be jumping from them. But you can see the effects that I use here on the layer styles. If you want to use this on anything else, just copy the layer style and then paste the layer style on the new layer. Hope you guys enjoy this. Take care.